Hey folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I am Robert, your resident Gen Xer, and right over there, as usual, is John. John, that's his name. John,
Yeah.
our resident millennial. John, how are you doing this evening?
Pretty good. I'm excited.
You're excited because you cannot understand what the hell's going on with your internet?
Yeah, pretty much.
I say we've got an elephant man in the house. He's hanging out here. He's hanging out in D Live. I see Saint in the house has just popped up a little.
Has
Hmm.
he popped up a little?
Oh, I guess it would help if I were in live chat so I could see it. There it is, because he said a potty mouth word. He did. He said a potty
Wow.
mouth word that doesn't come in top chat. Got to go to live chat for
Can't
that.
believe he's done this.
Well, I can because it's Saint. Um, you know, it's kind of a nature nurture situation. I think is what it comes down to more than anything. But anyway, John, you looking good? You okay? You think you're in? I don't know. You're coming across perfectly fine on my end.
Yeah.
Lots of no issue. But should we worry? Should we worry that
Nah, it'll be fine. Don't worry about
you
it.
are
Let's
going
just
to be
go.
internet deficient this evening?
I just won't be able to see the chat at the moment unless it unfucks itself. So
Well, you've got it on. Well, yeah. There's that. Like, so it's just not letting you go online anywhere, huh?
just the browser for some reason. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm. You
So I'll have to
broke your
figure it out
browser.
after the yeah.
Did I scare you off the fertility rate? No, actually, I wasn't. I was going to talk about that a little bit. I'm looking a little further. See, here's the thing. I'm not necessarily. I wasn't necessarily going to talk about the fertility rate, like globally or anything like that, so much as I was going to talk about the fertility rate based on cultures here in America and the idea that if minorities are the bulk of the growth in this country as far as population is concerned, then logical reasoning would lead me to believe that that growth is also responsible for other things like, large amounts of socioeconomically challenged minorities, um, you know, due to, the correlation between that growth in population versus the growth of other things that we see as detrimental, social programs, crime, things like this. It it was one of those things. Now, of course, you talk about something like that and it's going to come off as completely racist, I'm sure. So that's more what I wanted to do was I wanted to look at that and I wanted to find, I'm hoping to find a way to talk about it without it being like a racist rant because it's not what it's intended to be. But if the numbers show that, you know, minorities or immigrants, the combination are responsible for the growth of the population in this country, then it stands to reason that there may be correlation between the growth between that and the growth of other things in this country as well. So, it's just
Wow.
that.
Sounds pretty racist to me.
See that, and that's why it's a difficult topic because there's
Right.
it's hard to talk about that and show those correlations without coming off as racist. It really is. Um, so the fertility rate thing is, I mean, that one is, I don't know. There's this discussion there, and I get
There
it,
we go.
but it just it branches off and it goes into so many other avenues that I don't want to that I don't a rabbit hole I don't want to go down, as it were. Um, it was just like I said, it was just something I saw that kind of made me, start to think of those correlative ideas.
There we go. I just want to announce that I've fixed it. I can now see the chat because
Yay!
I am a technical genius.
Yay! Now, Elephant Man, if you would like to, if you wanted to come on and talk about that with us, that would be awesome. Um, and you could give input on that. I mean, it's one of those things. So, I would love to have that conversation. Again, it's just a matter of whether or not that conversation can be had or should be had.
I mean, so obviously any conversation can and probably should be had.
Sure.
I mean, that's my general stance
Right.
on any kind of conversation. Jesus Christ, this thing is.
It's just so easy to be branded. It's so easy to be.
You like my big ass beer?
I can't
I
believe you're
guess
drinking a Bud Light.
technically, I know I was gonna say technically you can't call it beer, but
I've heard the things you said about Bud Light. I'm
yeah,
like, really?
I'm not a fan, but you know, whatever.
That desperate, huh?
Elephant
The
Man wants to have the
the
conversation in
conversation
private.
should be had in private. So I'm curious why. Why is that? Why does that seem to be a sensitive topic? I mean, it's. Why do you think? I mean, John.
What do I think?
I mean, like, when he's talking about fertility rates, why is that an issue to why would that be an issue to talk about? Um,
Well, because we know exactly who would, but there are people who would go after either us or him for that. And since he's not like a public figure like we are, not that we're famous or popular or anything, but once you put yourself out there in a video or whatever, then you're a public figure. Um,
it's okay.
Obviously, then like we accept that there might be criticism coming our way. We accept whatever consequences of the things that we say. We accept that. Whereas Elephant Man has not done that, as far as I know.
Now he says it's not racist, it's sexist, and that will get him depersoned. Now, see, I don't see it as a sexist issue so much when you're talking about fertility, when you're talking about procreation, because I mean, when it's all said and done, it takes two to tango, right? I mean, this is,
You see, the problem is you're being reasonable, and the people that we're talking about are not reasonable. So whatever logical argument you make is correct, but it's not. It's inconsequential.
yeah, I guess I can't see this how it's sexist, but I don't know. That's always been my problem. Like I can once somebody explains it to me, then I can kind of see the angle where it might
Hmm.
become that. But again, I'm that person that's look there shouldn't be taboo conversations.
I
There
agree.
shouldn't be taboo discussions.
I
I
agree.
it used to annoy me to to sit around and hear people say, oh, there's two things you don't talk about in at parties and family gatherings. You don't talk about politics. You don't talk about religion. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
those are two of the biggest things in everybody's lives.
Right. I mean, that's pretty much what's informing your entire existence at this point.
Oh, he says
I
the highest
mean,
fertility rates are in the most patriarchal societies and cultures, and that's great.
makes
That's
sense.
why I don't want to delve into that sack of cats. I don't want to. It's just more about this country and issues that we have in this country and how they could correlate to
Right.
a lopsided amount of procreation amongst certain groups versus others.
Hmm.
And I think it would be foolish to not see the correlations. You know, Amish.
Amish. I don't know. Aren't they dwindling? But I mean, that's probably more due to people leaving rather than their birth rates. But yeah.
Yeah, the Amish have never really been impactful in in my life. Like I've
Well,
always known
yeah.
they're
That's by
there.
design. That's by design. They don't bother with
Sure,
they just do like puppy mills and fire Amish fireplaces.
puppy mills.
Like that's about
But
it.
now, we have seen them recently kind of getting involved in this Black Lives Matter, George Floyd thing, that kind of stuff.
Wait, in what way? I haven't seen that. That's crazy.
I saw an article. There was a group of Amish people that were taking part in a protest, and I forget where was it.
Are
Where's
you sure
Amish
they
country?
were?
Yes,
Are
it
you sure?
was.
Are you
Yeah,
sure they were Amish, not like
there were.
Mennonites or like some
Well,
other like
they
offshoot?
said they were Amish, according
Huh.
to the article, and they had a picture of them standing there with
Right.
signs and stuff. I mean, they were
Right.
taking. You have to look it up.
Wait, if there's
it's been a
pictures and
few couple of
stuff,
weeks or two.
hang on, because if there's pictures and stuff, then that's not really Amish, because Amish people don't have their pictures taken. They don't
No,
like
no,
they don't
no.
look
That's
at them.
African.
No,
That's
no, no. There's
the
I'm pretty sure it's Amish as well.
yeah. They're not
But
going to lose their soul if their picture is taken. Their pictures are getting taken all the fucking time.
I don't know.
People
Well, I mean, against
people
their
go
will, right?
visit Amish country all the time and take pictures like fucking tourists.
Well,
Uh
yeah,
oh.
but I think you're not supposed to. I don't know.
Elephant Man's taking all his messages out.
Yeah, he just like really, you know, he doesn't want to be involved, I guess, in all that kind of talk. I don't know. Whatever. We're not deleting his messages. He is. So
No, yeah, yeah.
I just want to make that clear. Yeah, we're not deleting
That was
anyone's
self
message.
censorship. Self censorship.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's a you know it's a weird conversation to try and wrap my head around how to have it properly, how to approach it, and it's going to take more. It's going to take more research. It's going to take more looking into it, and you
Right.
know, um, but it's just one of those things. This that comes up in a time like this, especially when everything's being thrown up, and you've got the media scrambling to put out any article they can to garner some attention. And it could have been, it could be that those statistics aren't as accurate as they'd like to point out, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. Hey, so did you know that there's still things going on? Like
Yes,
there's still protesting and stuff happening. Did you know that?
I did, but we also have an announcement to make before we get into
Oh, do we,
topics.
John? Does it
Yeah.
involve hitting the like button?
It does, in fact. It involves hitting the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already. Um, it also involves one of our own, I would say, someone that I would consider
Mm.
an enhanced acquaintance.
Yeah, one of our
Um,
cool guys.
yeah, one of our cool guys, our fellow YouTuber, Anna Voltis, apparently just today has been confirmed with the COVID virus. So shout out to him. Hope he gets better. Hope everything works out all right with for him. Obviously, that's we never want that to happen to anyone, but yeah, that one hits kind of close to home though. You know.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably the closest individual I know of, other than like my wife. Last week? Um, she came home. She came home one day and she's like, somebody in our store was diagnosed with the coronavirus. Fortunately, they hadn't been at work for like a week up to that point. But then the following day, she came home and she's like, three other people tested positive for it,
Mm,
that work on different shifts. So again, not a lot of contact or anything with those people, but of course, throwing a little bit of fear her way. Um,
absolutely, yeah,
when it starts hitting inside where you're working.
yeah.
Um, but it is sparking off. I mean, it's jumping everywhere. The numbers, of course, again, we can attribute that to a lot more testing. But
Hmm.
there was an article that was put out on the.
Well, we're
Go
not
ahead.
done with announcements yet,
Oh, you didn't
so
tell me
let's.
that. You didn't tell me that.
You know what we're supposed to be announcing,
Well, yeah, I thought
okay?
that's what you were announcing, and you announced you
No.
talked about Anna Voltis instead. You got to keep it
Well,
together,
I was
John.
going to, and then you just started talking.
No,
Yeah.
you can't blame me for your issues.
So anyway,
When you
we are announcing that we are doing yet another one of our 12-hour charity streams. We have a date assigned now, and we have a couple of uh, I guess competitions. I'll say that lined
competitions,
up. So we have a couple of things that we're gonna do. A little fun
activities.
activities. That's a good word for it.
Hmm.
Yeah. One of them, and we talked about this. I believe it was last Monday, right? That we talked about the sea shanties.
Sea shanties.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do, and I've talked to a couple of the people who are gonna be involved with it already. Uh, we are going to. I'm going to reach out to some professional sea shanty singers, and along with a few other people that I can get together, are going to have a competition with these professional sea shanty singers. Um, so we'll do a song, and then they'll do a song, and we'll let the audience decide who does a better job. I think we know who's going to do a better job
I think
already.
we're there already.
I think
Yeah.
I think yeah, I think we know obviously that we're better.
Right? Is that what you're going to go with?
Yeah. So that'll be fun. I think that'll be really cool. And then we're going to have a trivia contest as well in the style of Jeopardy for the most part, or at least borrowing heavily from Jeopardy. For a Amazon gift card, the amount of which has yet to be announced. So we're working that out. Obviously, as it gets closer, we'll have more and more details, lists of guests and stuff like that. But for now, that's what we have. Um, and it will be on Friday, August 21st. That is when our next charity stream will be.
Friday, August 21st.
21st. Yep. So I'm looking forward to it. I think this is going to be our best one yet.
So,
Just for those two, just from those two things that I mentioned. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
but we should we're going to be attempting to have lots of guests on. Everybody we
Yeah.
can gather from Freedom Scoop, of course. We're going to see if we can reach out to some of our previous helpers.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not guaranteeing anything, but we're going to reach out to Matt Christensen and
Yeah.
Blonde and maybe some other fun folks, some libertarians. They've got
Right.
nothing better to do. It's not like they're winning an election or
Right.
anything.
Exactly.
They're not busy. They're not.
Right.
But it should be good. So, and that's going to be another typical 12-hour charity stream, isn't it?
Oh
Going to be one
yeah.
of those where it's an
Hell yeah.
all-day event, all-day party, and all night, as it were.
As it were. Yeah. Most of the night, half the night at least.
Yeah, I hopefully Anavoltus will be much better by then because I believe he's one of the folks that you want to have in your singing your shanty with you.
Yeah, yeah. He's supposed to be one of our crew members. We'll call him, because that'll
Shantyman.
be nice. And nah, I like crewman better because that's like it's more contemporary. Word for what's going on. Being on ships and whatnot.
Sure thing,
Um,
Captain Stubing.
yeah, I don't know what that is a reference to. Sounds familiar.
Wow. Anybody,
It does
Captain
sound
Stubing?
familiar.
Anybody? Throw it out there for John. Help the poor bastard out.
Is that Gilligan's Island?
No, that
No.
was the skipper.
Well, yeah, but I didn't know what his name was,
The
so
skipper.
that's it. He's not referred to as
No,
anything
he was
else.
the
I don't know.
skipper.
I've seen like 2 episodes of that show. I have no fucking clue.
He was
God
the
damn.
skipper. It's just sad.
Whatever, man. Like,
Now there was Captain
uh,
Stubing, there was Gopher, there was Julie, there was Isaac the bartender, and there was Doc. Come on, any of that? No, nothing.
uh, I think the bartender kind of rings a bell. I don't know. Yeah, I'm missing the reference.
I
Maybe I'm
figured
too
Gopher
young.
would give it to you, but
No, that one actually that doesn't ring a bell at all. So I don't know.
Ted
What show?
Grandy played Gopher.
I I don't know who that is.
He was a gopher on. That was his job.
Love Boat, says Elephant Man. Is that correct?
There it is. The Elephant Man
Yeah.
has it correct. The Love Boat.
Yep. Never saw it.
You never seen an episode of The
Nope.
Love Boat?
Not
Really?
one. Yeah.
It's some crazy, stupid shit right there. Let me tell you. And and it was kind of cool when you're a kid, right? Because like you're
Yeah.
sitting there and you never know who's going to be on it. Because they would have like you know
Like
other
celebrity guests or something.
TV and movie celebrities that would come on and play roles. So
Gotcha.
you never know. Like one time in one episode, there's Telly Savalas and Ricardo Montalban. You never know who you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But the Love Boat, yeah, it's some real shit right there. You should check it out, John. Maybe that's what we should do. What do you think about this, John? What if we start having like a weekly challenge? Like I'll come up with a movie and you come up with a movie that you've seen and I'll come up with the one that I've seen that the other person hasn't seen, and we trade off and we make it a point to watch those movies over the next week and kind of, act,
That
acclimate
sounds like
ourselves.
fun.
Try out some new stuff that we've never seen. I know that you don't like to watch things that people tell you to watch, but that's just your big gay talking. Is what that
Yeah.
is, I think. So
Yeah.
you want to do that?
Sure. Why
You
not?
down? All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'll think of something. We'll start it on Monday. We'll do that on Monday. So you come up with
Fair enough.
something, and look, don't be stupid either,
What
because
does
I
that
know
even
you.
mean?
I know you.
What? What does that even
you'll
mean?
come up, you'll because you'll try and pull up some stupid obscure shit that
Well,
nobody could ever find and watch anyway.
that's not true. You could always find a movie.
All right, but make sure and come with like two or three options that way in case I've already seen it,
Right.
because it's probably going to be harder for you to come up with something I haven't seen than it is for me you.
Maybe. I don't
Well,
know.
I've got a lot more history. I mean, I've got 20 years worth of movies on you. you know.
Yeah, but I don't know. What about genre though? You know what I mean? Like I might be able to come up with something that you haven't seen. I'm sure I can.
Yeah, no, it's possible. Yeah, because to be honest with you, I'm not as up on movies as I used to be. I don't watch. Like it's weird. Like I wind up on these streaming networks. If it's not like a episodic thing that I'm binging,
Yeah.
I'm kind of just like ignore most movies and just watch stuff that I've seen before.
Yeah, that's what I
Man,
do too. Yeah.
it's a bad habit for me, but because I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I should watch that. Oh no, I've seen this. I like it. I'll watch this. you know, it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
But anyway, we talk about the coronavirus a little. There's an article put in show suggestions. It's intimating that the CDC is potentially going to downgrade the coronavirus from a pandemic
Really?
because the mortality rate has dropped. But now, I have some thoughts on this, right?
Hmm.
So okay, so cases of coronavirus are on a major increase right now, which the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to attribute that to more testing going on, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Um, but does that mean that we are still in the incubation slash development stage with so many of these people that we haven't reached the point where any mortality issues are going to kick in, right? Like, are we still a week or two away from that as we start to see the fallout from this? Because I don't know, like these people that are testing positive, I don't know if they're testing positive for actually having the coronavirus, having the antibody. They're just, people with coronavirus, the number is just increasing. So, like our state is, this many cases. The death rate at this point, if I am not mistaken, they said, so according to the CDC at this point, they say they explained this past Friday that the COVID-19 mortality rate has dropped so low that the percentage is currently at the epidemic threshold. So, based on death certificate data, the percentage of deaths attributed to pneumonia, influenza, or COVID-19, they're doing it. They call it a pick, where all three things are taken into consideration. It has decreased from 9% during week 25 to 5.9% in the present week 26, representing the 10th week of a declining percentage of deaths due to PIC. Any of those three things. So, that of course that brings
I'm
it,
back.
like I said, you drop from a 9% down to 5.9% in the course of a week. Is that only because we have such a large influx of reported cases and that's skewing the mortality rate? you know doesn't that make sense? Isn't that how that would happen?
Well, obviously, I missed most of what you were saying because
Well,
my
well,
internet
no.
connection
The
is
question
shitty.
the question I'm asking right now is like, okay, in the last week we've had a ton of new cases being
Hmm.
found or tested for, etc. So if the mortality rate dropped from 9% down to 5.9% in the course of the week, could that not immediately simply be attributed to the large increase in the number of cases? Now we have this many more cases.
Right.
If the mortality rate is going, that percentage is going to decrease as that goes up until the
Right.
fallout from those cases starts to pay out, right?
Yeah, that
Till we
sounds
start seeing
reasonable.
deaths from those.
Right.
So that decrease in percentage, that that doesn't that's really not a qualifier overall that the mortality rate is getting better. Am I correct?
Um, I mean, yeah, it can certainly be interpreted that way. I guess, and see, this is why I don't really try and engage with that, just because uh, it's so hard to know, how that data is being interpreted. It's so hard to know, what are the real, especially the mortality rate, what the real mortality rate is, right? Because we've seen before that they'll increase, they'll claim that a death is a corona death even though it's not. Um, you know,
Uh oh, you're freezing up, John. Yeah, you are frozen. So try and connect back. Try and connect back. Um, Hi, Ed. It's good to
well,
see you.
obviously for back, my back.
You're starting to come
No.
back. Your video's not back, but I'm hearing voice.
Okay, well that's good enough, I guess.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a little bit choppy on the voice too, but you might need to repeat what you just said or not. Apparently, oh, there he goes.
It's getting really annoying.
There you go. So what was that you said? Can you try and recap it?
Um, oh, I was just saying about how we see like the deaths being attributed to coronavirus when they may not have been.
Right.
So, for increased funding. So that's what I'm saying. It's just really difficult to know how the data is being interpreted and whether or not the data is 100% accurate.
Well, now
Um,
do bear in mind they are combining deaths from pneumonia, influenza, and COVID-19. Like
right.
so,
Is the
because
problem,
of
right?
course they're saying that pneumonia and influenza, these two things can be closely attributed, and you can't separate necessarily whether it was COVID-19 or pneumonia caused by
Right.
COVID-19. Blah blah blah. So anyway,
Which will,
sorry,
of course, further increase the mortality rate.
but it's actually decreasing. But again,
Right, but I'm saying though, it's still, adding
right,
those in doesn't mean that it was attributed to COVID-19, as opposed to, maybe you
right.
died from complications of, influenza or pneumonia. Which, I mean, doesn't COVID like closely, uh, like, I don't want to say simulate because that's dumb. But isn't it like closely related to pneumonia and influenza?
Basically, it's that's why I kind of correlate it with with HIV/AIDS. When you COVID-19, when you reach the point of COVID-19, basically you can contract pneumonia, you can contract
Right. Okay.
heart issue, this, that, and the other. So you may die from pneumonia that was directly caused by COVID-19. Of course, you
Gotcha.
could just die from pneumonia because you got pneumonia,
Right.
right? But heart,
I mean,
you could have heart failure from COVID-19 as well,
sure.
that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, the numbers get skewed. Here's what I think, to be honest with you,
Mhm.
is going to be an attributing factor to the decrease in the mortality rate, even though we have such a high upswing in known cases, is the fact that a lot of the current cases that are being found diagnosed are in the younger crowd.
Yeah,
because
and they
these
have
are
a much higher survivability rate as
right.
well.
They have the higher
Yeah,
survivability rate, but they are definitely getting this coronavirus spread throughout their age group much
right.
faster than other groups.
Sure.
But that's simply because it's got a lot to do with wanting to be out in
Yeah.
public, wanting to not wear masks, feeling invulnerable, as it were.
Right, which is a real thing when, especially among young men, feeling very invulnerable and just are invincible in general. Really, that's why they take dumb risks.
Um, I want to say, was it my wife? I wish I could pull it up. My wife had, I don't know, she shared something on Facebook or something to that effect. But anyway, it was this list of things. It's like, oh, you want me to do this? You want me to, just go and do a registration for my gun and have a 3-day waiting period? Okay, no problem. We'll do that. You want me to go do this, get a driver's license, drive a car, this, that, and the other? Fine. You want me to put my gun in a gun safe to keep my children safe? Okay, no problem. Uh, you want me to wear a mask? Fuck you! You're taking my liberties away. Fuck you!
Now, hang on. Most people, I think, don't keep their
Well,
guns.
no, no, no. But that is,
Not all of them, at least. Not all of them, at
have you
least.
gone to buy a gun? They will give you information that tells you
Yeah,
that there's requirements about locking your gun up
of
now.
course. Yeah, there are.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but I mean, there's
But that
people.
was
Obviously, people are there. There are people obviously who are against that.
Well,
So I
no,
mean,
I
I don't
get
think
it,
it's
but I
fair to
mean,
say
it was. I'm using those, but it was silly
a
stuff like that
broad
that were like
generalization.
that we've just gone along with, but something as minor as please wear a mask to help prevent the spread of this disease. Fuck you, you're
Mm.
taking my liberties away. It's like this is the line you draw in the sand, is wearing a mask, right? Some guy over in, what was it? Was it in France? I think it was France, just got killed because of a mask confrontation in a store over
That's
not wearing
fucking
a mask. It's
stupid.
happening all over the place, John. People are getting into these confrontations because stores, shit. My wife's store, they have now, instead of having any employees say anything, they hired a fucking security guard. They've got a security company now
Yeah.
that's standing at the door reminding people that they should be wearing masks. They're still under the order of, if they don't want to wear one, don't say anything. Just alert management that there's people in the store not wearing masks.
Hmm.
But it's no longer an employee. Now it's going to be someone, for want of a better term, an armed security guard,
Yeah.
that's going to be taking the brunt of that, so that employees don't have to say anything and don't have to get into those situations,
Right.
because people are getting pissed off about that. And I'm like, okay, but here's the thing, where's your trade-off? You how can you not see that we are having a blow up of this? It is going to
Well,
happen.
we also expected it. I mean,
Yes,
we
and
talked about this, and we're not the only
we
ones who
did,
did, but
right. I'm not, but
right.
as a whole, it's like, okay, take heed. It's just, that community thing. It's again that community minded thing where it's just
Yeah.
like, we don't have as much of that as I would like to have.
And let's also, like, Walmart itself, or any other business, absolutely has the right to refuse a person entry if they don't want to wear a mask.
But
I mean, that's how it should work. If someone doesn't want to wear a mask, fine, but that business does not have to let you inside.
yeah, but
I think that's
I know
reasonable.
that company itself is recommending to employees and management, do not take it past a gentle reminder,
Right.
because they're literally, we don't want you getting in confrontations, because people are going to get stupid about this.
Yeah.
And they are. I mean, they really are. You look at different places, all these confrontations that have gone on thus far that we get on video and see and stuff. So
Hmm.
it's kind of wacky. But so check this out. So now there's been talk, of course, about a second stimulus package rolling out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I heard about that. Yeah.
And these are the words of our illustrious leader. He has said that there is a large and dramatic second round of COVID-19 stimulus payments planned, and his administration plans on proposing that at some point in July. They're supposed to be coming back from their summer recess somewhere here in the middle of July. So there's an expectation that
Yeah.
something like this is going to be put forward. Even Mitch McConnell has changed his stance on it and thinks that something more needs to be done from that standpoint. Um, but Trump said we are working on another stimulus package, and that will take place very soon. He says I support actually larger numbers than the Democrats, but it's got to be done properly. I want the money getting to people to be larger so they can spend it. I want the money to get there quickly and in a non-complicated fashion.
A non-complicated fashion when government's involved is
Well,
it's a hilarious
hold on.
oxymoron.
Now, I will say this. I will say this. From the standpoint of the IRS being the expected go-to for doling that money out. Joshua Delgado in the house. Good to
Oh
see you.
shit, that's a
Yo,
new
back at
name.
you. It's a new name, all right.
Awesome,
Um,
welcome.
but seeing that, what was I just saying?
Yeah, you were talking about the IRS
Oh,
and
because the
and
IRS
how
is
it's
your
not actually
go-to,
that
right?
complicated.
Um, for taxpayers that don't file taxes or don't haven't filed taxes this year, which little things like this. For people that were already in the system, those checks actually went out very quickly. I mean, a lot of people
Yeah,
got their money very quickly and
yeah, yeah,
without
yeah.
any hiccups or anything.
The only
Um,
reason it took me a little longer was because I didn't give them my bank account information, so they had to physically send me a check through the mail. So that's why I got mine a little later than a lot of people.
and they've
But
been constantly working on that to where there's access some way for you to get stuff in. I mean, I know people are still having problems with it, and there's still a lot of people out there that are trying to get a hold of their check. But I mean, when you're talking about over 100 and something million people receiving money,
mhm.
it's a sticky wicket trying to get it taken care of easily,
I
right?
love that expression. Yeah.
But so there's talk and there's plans. Now, uh, there was there are about there were I think it was like 150 economists. I don't know if you've ever heard the name Ben Bernanke. I don't know if that name sounds familiar to you.
Doesn't
He's
ring
a
a
top
bell.
economist, but anyway, uh, so here's something that happened today or yesterday or today. People who specialize in money are weighing in on the next stimulus package, and they're urging Congress to get more money into your pocket.
Hmm.
156 top economists, most from dozens of top tier U.S. universities and think tanks, sent an open letter to Congress asking for ongoing stimulus checks, extended additional unemployment payments, state and local government aid, enhanced SNAP benefits,
Jesus
and child
Christ.
care funding. Now,
Okay, so at any point do they ever address the issue of inflation? Because I mean, if you're a
uh,
top economist, you know
yes.
that that is
So,
going to cause inflation. I mean, I'm an idiot and I know that.
all right. So here's how they explain it. And supposedly this letter was a very in-depth analysis of economic issues going on and how to address them. Right. So it says direct cash payments are an essential tool that will boost economic security, drive consumer spending, hasten the recovery, and promote certainty at all levels of government and the economy for as long as necessary. Um, it, they they say that they refute a common refrain among Republicans in Congress that Americans returning to work will repair the economy. They said consumer spending accounts for 2/3 of the GDP, so reviving the economy will require sustained efforts to strengthen it. Even after businesses start to reopen and jobs begin to come back, there will be significant
Mm.
economic fallout, and demand will continue to lag if people don't have money to spend. And so, from
Yeah,
their
that's
standpoint, it's important to get money circulating, and the easiest way to do that is through the hands of the consumer.
right, but that doesn't affect inflation. That, in fact, the more money that's in circulation, the more or the less that the actual dollar is worth.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I think we're past the point of worrying about like inflation. So,
Apparently, yeah, we don't give a fuck about inflation,
I
so it
mean,
doesn't matter that, like, yeah,
inflation is
you're,
inflation's already a thing, John. I mean, it's not like inflation isn't out of
but that
hand
doesn't mean
already.
that doesn't mean that you make it worse just because it's already there.
But there is the idea that if companies know that people are getting cash in their hands, unless they coordinate and they all agree to jack their prices up, the idea is that the companies are going to compete for those dollars with sales and reducing prices, things like that. There's a thought there. Of course, we also know that it can go the other way, where they're like, "Oh, look, now we have demand, we can raise prices." So it's a catch 22. But it's almost like there's an unspoken uh, onus on companies to not inflate prices. Not that that would stop them. I'm just saying,
Right,
just like the unspoken
right. I
onus on
mean,
people to wear a mask, but it's spoken.
right, but there. So the thing is, like, businesses, or a lot of them, have been closed for months now. A lot of them, not all of them, obviously, but enough of them to where, yeah, when they reopen, they have to make up for their losses. And one way of doing that would be slightly increasing their prices.
So okay. So I have to ask this. Real quick. Let's go to the chat real quick. Brown Boy
Okay,
Dante is new in the house,
hang
by the
on.
way. What?
Perfect. While you're messing with the chat, I'm gonna go take a piss.
Okay, have fun with that.
Yeah.
Ed, Elephant says no, it will just cause inflation. Understandable. Ed says there, these checks may be a great way to repair the economy, but I can just get my fucking unicorn to fart out rainbow money and it will be easier. And that makes sense, Ed. And if you had a unicorn that could do that, it might change things around quite a bit. Elephant, this is part of what caused the fall of Rome. Yeah. Um, but now there is, we've recently been, I forget who it was. Was it, maybe it was Jake from Freedom Scoop posted some information that, that right now the Fed is basically buying up, Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, buying up debt and basically potentially going to default on it, like really ground, go back to square one on debt, like credit debt, etc. I'm not sure exactly how that would manage to fall out, um, but you know, I don't know. I don't think you can. Can we just default on that? Isn't that the same thing as going bankrupt? Um, but anyway, Ed, got him on that government dole. More Gibbs, John. Oh, there you go. Yeah, see, there's John. John, Ed derided you for bringing facts into the argument.
I apologize. I'll try my best not to do so next time.
The biggest part of inflation over the last 10 years is car prices, new car prices. I would agree that car prices, but I have to say that inflation across consumer goods seems to me to be a thing as well. I mean, it's, I don't know. I, well, maybe not just consumer goods, but services. Maybe it's services. I don't know. Rents have gone up. Utilities are going,
Hmm.
have gone up. I attribute a lot of the inflation that we currently see right now to the last gas situation we had when prices went up and
Mm.
never came back down. Everything was attributed to oil costs and and
Right.
shit like that, and never went back down. Um, the consumer's dollar just doesn't buy as much anymore. You know, nowhere near as
Yeah.
much as it used to. Um, you know,
I mean,
it's. Go ahead.
that's always been the case, and that's really unfortunate. We can't control inflation.
Yeah,
Um, I think that's probably one of the most important things that we can do in an economy is controlling inflation and making sure that the dollar is still valuable.
but how do you?
Obviously, in a hypothetical sense, of course, because obviously it's just paper. That we agree has value. It's not backed by anything.
Well, how do you? How do you even begin to drive down inflation when you have so much demand? I mean, when it's all said and done, demand is high for consumer goods and services
Right. Yeah.
because of, again, our population continues to grow, but I don't believe that wages keep up with inflation by any means, especially over the last 10 to 20 years. The
Yeah.
gap has just widened so far for so many people, which is why you've seen an increase in the poverty level in the country, why the middle class is a is growing smaller because of that, you know. Um, so I don't know. Is there a way to control inflation that is not already like on autopilot at this point? It seems.
Well, so the first thing you would want to do is uh, stop printing money. Work with what we have already in circulation. So not borrowing money uh, that we never intend to pay back. That would probably be the biggest way to do it. Just stop making more money and just work with what we have in circulation now.
Um, so I'm going to put this app up
Wow.
there. Can you see it? No, it's the
Very
U.S.
professional.
The U.S. I know, right?
Like,
Can you see my
not really,
screen?
no.
Can you see how close do
No.
I got to get?
No,
That
this
the
camera's not
camera.
going to focus on it.
Isn't that just a shame? But anyway, it's the U.S. It's from usdebtclock.org. They
Mm,
have an app for your phone that you can get, and it just sits here and it's just constantly tallying up. Like our debt right now, it shows at 26.5 trillion dollars. My God, damn,
yeah.
that's a big number.
And it's only going to get higher the more, we're sending out these stimulus checks. And the problem, I think, is that most people don't know why our debt being that high is a problem, right? Because every time we reach the debt ceiling, we just raise it again. And then, everything continues on as normal. Like the amount of debt that we have to the average person does not affect their everyday life. And I think, I mean, obviously, it's a problem of education. And not everyone has the time or the proclivity to, inform themselves on that.
Yeah, especially our federal tax revenue is running about $3.3 trillion
It's a drop in the
that
bucket.
we're generating on taxes. Like, right? How would that ever? I
Never.
mean, right? How could you even begin to start thinking about paying down $26 trillion in debt? Who do we owe that money to? Everybody.
The
You know how
Federal
you know how much?
Reserve, mostly.
Yeah, you know how much of that we owe to
Federal Reserve.
ourselves. I mean,
Well, no, the Federal Reserve is not a federal. It's not a government institution. It's a private one. It's a private bank that that
well,
the country owes money to. That you owe
right.
money to
Well, yeah, but they're
without
our
your
Federal
consent.
Reserve. They're our
Eh,
Federal.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, they are called the Federal Reserve,
Oh, I know. Yeah, so is
not the
FedEx.
global Federal Reserve.
Federal Express
Is
is
it?
not.
So is that is the Federal Reserve a private entity,
It's a private
or,
bank. Yeah.
but it's not? So it doesn't have affiliation with the government,
Well, I mean, obviously it does, but not in a like
not an official
not
capacity.
right. Yeah, not in like a we're accountable to the
Gotcha.
government. Yeah, they just do whatever they want, pretty much. Or what happens really is the government goes to them and says, "Hey, you know, print us this amount of money." Now, obviously nowadays it's digital, but for the use of analogy, you say print off, X amount of money, and they issue the Federal Reserve bonds saying, we'll pay this money back, and then obviously we don't, you know, like it's just like having a checkbook. Even though you keep bouncing checks, you still have one, and you still write them off as if you're not bouncing them, and just hope that people don't cash it.
Yeah. Yeah, you should try download this debt clock, John. It's kind of interesting to look at these numbers. Like when you look at it, like so that debt, you know
Hmm.
what that translates to you, John? Debt per taxpayer. Your portion of that debt is
Yeah,
$213,000, sir, that you're
yeah.
indebted to this country.
I did not consent to this debt, so I will not be paying any debts. I'm not in debt to anyone.
Mm-mm-mm. So if you were to guess, what would you say charitable donations would be at?
Oh, I don't know.
You think it's a big number, a little number?
Well, I mean, obviously, big and little is relative when you're talking
Yeah.
about trillions, right?
Yeah, it doesn't
I mean,
reach
one
trillions.
billion is 1 billion is a tiny number compared to 1 trillion.
Yeah. No,
Right?
charitable donations account for about $404 billion in this country. So that's
It's
not
pretty
bad
good.
from a donation standpoint.
Yeah.
But maybe they need to be donating it to the dead. I don't know. Maybe that would help. Elfman says, what did he say? He said, who do we owe the money to?
Yeah.
By the way, I think that's part of the debt that had been talked about that may be canceled out is like a lot of foreign debt may get bought up, defaulted on. I don't know.
Hmm.
It could be a pretty interesting situation when a lot of debt gets defaulted on. But again, I think that sounds like we're filing bankruptcy if we default on a bunch of debt and wipe it out. Doesn't that sound like a chapter
Yeah.
13 or 11 something? I don't know.
Chapter 11, I think, is no.
Yeah.
It's chapter 11 is restructuring, right? I'm pretty sure. I don't. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
think
I don't.
that's a 13. 11 is restructuring. 7 is like full bore. There's 7,
Yeah.
11, and 13. I don't know.
Yeah. Whatever. I don't.
The
I don't.
one
I've never declared bankruptcy, so I don't know how all that stuff works. But yeah.
Brown Boy Dante says we need to stop printing money. Ed says there's a problem right now with stopping the printage of cash. And I mean,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I don't know how you fix this economy at this point. You know,
Yeah.
what option do you have?
We
Especially,
are.
especially when we're rolling into more shit's getting shut down right now.
Yeah.
Right? It's going back to shutdowns,
Well, obviously, right now would not be a good time to do it. We should have done it 30 years ago, maybe 20 years ago.
which
So,
is,
stopping printing money.
well, I mean, a certain amount has to happen. Am I correct?
Um, I mean, not all the time.
I mean,
No,
could we, could we, could
not every
we,
day.
could we be sustainable on a fixed amount of cash? Period.
I mean, yeah,
I mean,
that's
doesn't
what. Isn't that what the? No, this is not my area of expertise.
right?
Uh, but am I not? I don't think I'm mistaken when I'm saying that that's what happened with the gold standard. Is that we could only have as much cash as we had gold,
Right.
and so that would be one way of doing it. Going back
Okay.
to the gold standard.
So So if we went back to the gold, but the key is like then we would have to scramble around trying to buy up as much gold as possible to increase the amount of cash that we have available for the country. Is that correct?
Um,
We'd have to get more gold
sure.
if we want to increase the money in the country, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But at least it would be backed by something then.
Because to me that sounds like okay, that limits your growth, that limits your power base, it
Yeah,
limits
good.
that. But on a global aspect, don't we want to continue to grow from a
Not well. That's the
financial
thing.
standpoint?
That's the thing. Is it plateaus and then starts going down the more inflation we have. So yeah, we can print money and have more in circulation and be a more of a powerhouse in the global economy. But at some point, when we print enough of it, the value is going to be so low that it's not going to matter anymore, and we're going to start declining.
Right. Henry showed up. He is the first Henry to show up tonight. Just FYI, he's made that
Yeah,
announcement.
always. Yeah, absolutely.
Ed says, Elephant says most of the money we owe to ourselves from Social Security theft, and yes, that's where a lot of our debt comes in. Over the years, is like, okay, we're going to borrow from Peter to pay Paul, And so we owe Peter that money, and that gets lumped into our debt, which is like I said, we owe ourselves a lot of that money. It's like, can we just be like, you know what? I don't need to pay my. You can have it. You don't need to pay me back,
Fuck
right?
that. I
Can we
want
do
my
that?
taxes back.
Uh, Elephant Man says, due to a population increase, we need more cash on hand. Yeah, as the population grows, you would think that the money on hand you
Yeah,
have,
that's fair enough.
which I think the gold standard would impede that.
I can see
Because
that. Yeah.
Ed says the first way to fix the economy is let every bank that made a bad loan sleep in the bed they made, including the ones that the government backed with student loans. Sorry, Ed, you need to remember one thing. We learned this a few years back. Banks, too big to fail.
Right.
Banks,
Can't let them fail. That would be
too big to
ridiculous. No.
fail. Henry says, y'all want to buy some Wayfair stocks? No, because they throw away too much furniture. Is that the Wayfair he's talking about? I'm hoping.
I believe Henry Wayfair. Yeah. Midget's saying that right there. I'm not old, I'm not like super familiar
All I know is that like
with that,
Wayfair is
but
one
I
of
know
the,
the name.
all I know is Wayfair is one of those companies, and I've seen it happen a couple of different times with two different people. Send you out a piece of furniture and it's dinged up, and they're like, "Oh, just keep it. We'll send you another one."
Oh yeah,
It's like
that's a good
you don't
deal.
even want to fucking return so you can like repurpose the parts, fix it. No, just throw it out. We'll send you a new one. Yeah, that's
And
not a
you've got
stock
two
I'm buying.
couches or
I'm not
two
buying that
desks.
fucking
Or,
stock.
yeah.
I'm not buying stock. Uh, Ed says you can have as much cash as you want, even in the gold standard. Don't get confused. But if it's capped at the amount of gold you have, but Midget says gold standard currency will only serve the elite because they already consolidated everything worth anything under their control. Uh, Henry
I
says you
don't know
don't
as I
need
don't know
more.
enough
Yeah,
about it.
see, and that's from the standpoint of the gold standard. I don't necessarily understand because I think it's about the the problem is with the gold standard is you're relying on the value of gold to set the standard for how much cash you have. So if gold's worth $1,000 an ounce right today, and tomorrow it's only worth 800, well, you have a dip in the economy, right? Like that's what I've always thought how that worked, and so it gets
Yeah,
confusing to try and sort it out.
yeah, it's
Finances are not my thing. Ask
me
my
either.
bank account.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Midget says a reset to gold standard will solidify the hold of the elite he talked about.
Yeah,
It says right now your dollar is a share of the total output of the GDP as determined by the Federal Reserve, which is understandable. Thank you that a non-government entity gets to determine what we're worth.
yeah,
Nice. Uh, Elfman says the goal should be stable currency and low inflation. Sure, that's a great goal, but to get there, here's what we need: the barter system. Um, Henry Henry Wayfair. Henry says y'all haven't heard Wayfair is in hot water. No, I
I have
haven't
not.
heard. Uh,
I have not heard.
he says furniture. Mitch says furniture is not what they're about. Wayfair furniture is the only Wayfair I'm familiar with. Sorry. Uh,
Yeah.
it says it's kind of fucked up if it's true though. Maybe we need to look at that. Pull up Wayfair, quick, John.
Oh god damn it!
Wayfair
All right,
scandal. Wayfair scandal.
all right.
Mitch says probably going to have to migrate to D Live if I want to chat about it.
Oh,
Uh,
when I typed it in, the first thing that came up was Wayfair child trafficking.
what?
Unfounded conspiracy theories, which means it's probably true. Wayfair accuses Wayfair of bonkers Pizzagate level trafficking ring. About the Wayfair child trafficking conspiracy. Of course, those are the first things showing up are conspiracy stuff. It's like
Right.
calling it a conspiracy. Um, Wayfair products listings spark child trafficking theory. Conspiracy theory emerged Friday. That's fucking today. Let's see. That the Wayfair online store was using the sales of storage cabinets as a cover for child trafficking, which the home decor company immediately denounced as false, obviously. A post on the social media website Reddit, oh Jesus, noted the high cost of the furniture, along with the fact that each item was identified by a female name as potential evidence of the purported scandal, Newsweek reported. The prices for the cabinets called Olivia, Neraya, Samia, and Yuritsa range from $12,699 to $14,499 each, according to a screenshot posted in the R Conspiracy subreddit. Is it possible Wayfair involved in human trafficking with their WFX utility collection, or are these just extremely overpriced cabinets? Note the names of the cabinets. This makes me sick to my stomach if it's true. User, someone that I'm not going to out, wrote Thursday. The post quickly drew. I don't care about the post. What's the. Can't access the cabinets anymore, but I remember a cabinet called Samaya for like 12K, which is also a missing child from this month, said another user. Uh, Wayfair said there is, of course, no truth to these claims. Naturally, they're going to. Um, The product in question are industrial grade cabinets that are accurately priced. Let's see if there's anything else that's recognizing that the photos and descriptions provided the supplier did not adequately explain the high price point. We have temporarily removed the products from site to rename them and to provide a more in-depth description and photos that accurately depict the product to clarify the price point. Da, 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 da.
So
Yeah,
people
that's about it. So it's pretty much just a conspiracy of
people
child
flipped out about the
trafficking.
name of the furniture and the or the equipment and the costs associated with it, and immediately jumped to child trafficking.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they're saying.
That's an interesting leap.
Yeah, well, I mean, big if true, obviously, but obviously, I'm not going to say, definitively, obviously, whether or not it's true. I have no idea. But apparently, Midget's going to send links. Um, yeah, you can't get it on the normie net. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, you got to go on you got to go on the conspiracy web. Is that? I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying. I'm trying to understand how you get a correlation between some cabinets.
I don't know. I'll have to see the details
I mean,
of
using
it
a
more
woman's
than
name to
because.
names. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying I looked at a Newsweek article,
Right.
so not exactly a reliable source of news. Um, Midget knows it's true. 4chan told them. Yeah,
Henry says there's also $10,000 pillows designed by Ellen
Ellen
DeGeneres.
Degenerate. Ellen Degenerate is what he said, but yeah,
But see,
that's who he's referring to.
I mean, it's not like using female names for products or male names. I mean, but more
Well, let's
often
go
female
to.
names is like an uncommon thing. You won't find them on Wayfair unless they've reposted the products.
I'm going to Wayfair.com right now. No thanks. I do not want to make an account. Thank you very much. Let's see. What do we want to look at? Decor and pillows. We'll see if we can find that.
Ron Helton in the
Um,
house. Good to see you, Ron. He says lots of buffering. Had a storm pass through earlier. Always plays havoc with his connection. Same with John, I think. He
we
says he
yeah we
think he
get.
saw Noah floating by.
Let's see. These are all art and stuff. That's not what I was looking for. They are kind of expensive.
But that's not trust me, going on Wayfair's website, why do you think I don't buy shit from them? It should be Wayfair's expensive fucking
Let's
furnishings
see
is what it should be
cabinets.
called.
Storage cabinet. Let's see. Filing cabinets. Maybe office storage. Is that what we're looking for?
Industrial storage. Didn't they say they were industrial storage?
Yeah, I didn't see that as a. I mean, the prices aren't even that bad here. Display in China. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything for like industrial.
This wasn't
That's
this.
what.
It doesn't sound like to me it was a home furnishing. Is the thing.
Right.
But
No,
why
I'm
would
just looking
have a
at the different
female's name?
categories of
Right.
cabinets.
Gotcha.
Let's see, media cabinets. I mean, none of the other cabinets here have female names. They're all like top load multimedia cabinet by Red Barrel Studio,
Look, it was
multimedia
more
cabinet by Wade Logan.
right. More than
So like
likely, it was a designer line. They put some names on it. They wanted to sell it for a high price point to the elite. I, but I don't know. Hopefully, Midget sends you something because I don't know the
yeah.
veracity with that. I don't understand how that like indicates.
I mean, I'm sure there's other evidence than just like overpriced cabinets with female names, therefore child trafficking. I'm sure there's more to it than that.
Right, like one of the cabinets shared a name with someone that had gone missing. Like, is that?
Yeah.
I mean, is that going to happen? Are you going to do that with the NHOA, the National Hurricane Organization? If you name a hurricane after a kid that went on a milk carton, suddenly you're trafficking children in the hurricane
Yeah.
watching.
Let's see. Storage drawers? No, that's not what we're looking for.
Henry says they look like shit cabinets. Look up shit cabinets.
I
Uh,
mean, the stuff here doesn't look amazing, but I mean, it's not like terrible.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of Wayfarer's prices, but here's something interesting. Like you can look on there and look at furniture and stuff, and more than likely your first thought is going to be, hell no, I'm not buying this expensive furniture, right?
Yeah.
Um, but company I used to work for a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, we were a business to business reseller.
Hmm.
Basically, we would have it was big companies, and they would sell off their unsold merchandise. Right? We offered them an avenue to do that. So that's how stuff. It's the kind of thing. That's how stuff gets into Big Lots and Ross and places like that. Is by buying from these big companies that put it out. Well, Wayfair was one of the companies, right?
Hmm.
And they used to sell furniture by the semi truck full
Yeah.
through us, like
Buying in bulk. Yeah.
leftover furniture, stuff they hadn't sold, stuff they were purging out of stores and showrooms, you know, online and stuff like that. They were, as they rolled in new product, they would get rid of old product and they would sell it at a discount, B2B. But the prices that people would get this shit for, like you could pick up a semi truck full of Wayfair furniture for like 10 grand. And
Damn.
it's
That's not bad at all. Yeah.
right, right. And like you and me, all we had to do is get a business license and, sign up for the site, go onto the site and as a reseller and, but it's amazing to me the prices that they charge online and then turn around and see how much their product goes for on the back end. And trust me, there's lots of companies. We were doing Wayfair, GameStop. You'd be surprised at how cheap phones actually are.
Yeah.
You might be surprised how fucking cheap they sell those things, on the secondary market.
So
Um,
real quick though, Henry's saying there were 4 cabinets with names of girls that went missing this year. Looked it up. Um, I mean, would you think that they're that incompetent? I don't know. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm asking in earnest. Uh, you don't think that they would just change the girl's name so that they can't be? I mean, obviously, it still wouldn't be easily traced, but I don't know. You would think that they'd be more careful than that, right?
right now, here's what I might say. One thing that you were noticing is designer names on some of the furniture they had, right?
Yeah.
So perhaps you're a designer and child trafficking is a thing with you, and to memorialize or honor victims
That's. I think that's a bit of a stretch too.
from an artist standpoint. I mean, I'm just saying that's, it wouldn't be surprising if that person is like, oh well, these girls, we'll name them after we'll use these names, and but you would think that they would say something about it, right?
Now here's
Like as
something
a
though that's more at least helps what Ed's saying here. Wayfair had a big walkout last year because it contracted with INS for the border resorts. Interesting. That I mean, obviously, like He's saying, it's all a coincidence. Stop looking into it and wear the mask. But that's definitely helps the theory. Yeah.
Well, well, INS is that's border security, right? INS, international. What is that?
Yeah. Good
What
question.
does the INS stand for?
Let's
So
find
I thought they
out.
had something to do with immigration and national. Oh, it's Immigration and Nationalization Services.
Yeah.
So border resorts. I don't know. I think he might be using that term a little sarcastically. I don't know.
Yeah. He might be. Yeah.
Helton says one of the girls whose picture was displayed posted a video saying that she was not kidnapped. Can't remember her name. Saw it on Twitter. Looked like the same girl. Wow.
Huh. I don't know. Yeah. We'll have to look into it off the air, obviously, because
But my
we're taking
thought,
up too much time trying to.
yeah, I will say this. My thought is if you're a company that in any way, shape, or form is involved in child trafficking, the last thing in the present day and age that you would do is, you know, publicize it like that. Because, I
Right.
mean, you can't put anything on the internet without somebody turning it into a conspiracy. And God knows you don't want to put something up there that's factual that somebody will go conspiracy on and prove it right. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're doing dirty dealing, don't post anything about it on the internet. You just don't.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. Definitely looks like something that's worth looking into for sure.
Ed was talking about ice and the holding pins. So yeah, but I mean, somebody's got to make the furniture for that shit. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't
Obviously,
think that has anything to do unless
it,
these
it
children
could
that
or
are
it couldn't.
being taken
Yeah.
are involved with are immigrants. Are they?
Well, a lot of those names sounded like they were not, typical American names. But
Yeah.
I was gonna make a point about. Oh, yeah, yeah. So we're talking about, obviously they're supplying, the contract supplying them with furniture, and then that could explain a walkout because that was hugely controversial, especially last
Sure.
year.
Still is.
About
Yeah.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. But I'm saying, like, especially last year, it
Of
was a
course.
huge
Right.
it was a huge thing. Um, so I mean that could explain it. So we'll see. I definitely want more information for sure about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I'm having trouble wrapping my head around it. So if I can get some info, midget post
Yeah,
some stuff. We'll
for
look
sure.
into it a little and see if there's something there. But you know,
I'm just applying Occam's razor to it.
the problem is ultimately the problem with it becomes this is, is this house, is this an effort by social media, to cancel, is it, maybe even in regard to what you were talking about last year with the walkout, that kind of thing.
Mm,
This is retribution, because it's pretty easy to defame the character of a company on the
yeah,
internet anymore. Speaking of which, and I wanted to mention this because I've seen more and more articles about it. Um, TikTok. I think TikTok is going to be canceled.
you
Like,
think so?
yeah, I really do. I mean, like, there's
Holy shit, that was
oh,
loud.
that's
You hear that?
I can hear that thunder. That's some good
Thunder, man.
stuff.
Fuck you, thunder.
What do they call
Thunder.
the what do they call them? Celebrity social influencers, like
Oh god, gross. Ew.
Ninja,
Yeah,
gamer named Ninja,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I'm
He
familiar.
he just he just came out
Slightly.
and said he's not going to be using TikTok anymore. So,
Ha.
but it looked like I saw something else about who was it? Was it Facebook? Who was it that was saying that like I don't know, TikTok might be shut down or they're trying to get TikTok shut down. But overall, I mean, it's like, it's almost like this, you know, I don't know. There's a conspiracy that I would be like, okay, who's behind this getting rid of TikTok and why is it so, why is TikTok so important? So it's something that we might want to,
Well, I mean, it's because it's a Chinese company.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
It's out of China. So
So it's
we got
about
to,
like data stealing and
right,
things
right.
like
So
that.
we got to
Yeah.
cancel because only Chinese companies do that.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Are you on Facebook?
Technically, I don't ever go on it, but I technically have an
Well, they
account.
did.
So I mean, they
So
already have my information. There's, even if I deleted it now, they still have my information.
so
Nothing
one
I
of
can do about it now.
one of the things that I did see, in regard to TikTok was how much information that they were gathering on people, even gathering information on people that don't have accounts on TikTok. So like if you posted to TikTok or accessed TikTok through Facebook, apparently they have their system set up to where they can go into your Facebook and then they can glean all the ton of information off of Facebook, but also glean information about your friends on Facebook and
Hmm.
go into those. And it's like out there gathering data and information. So they have it like if you were to go sign up for a TikTok account and are you're on Facebook and Instagram, and then you go sign up for a TikTok account, they may already have targeted you as a user before you ever logged in, before you ever
Right.
signed up, and have
Yeah.
information about you and things like this. Which, I'm like, okay, so how is that different from what any other company would? I mean, doesn't I would assume Facebook and Instagram, Pinterest, all these other
Yeah.
social media platforms do very much the same thing.
I like what Ed says. They're doing the same thing as Facebook, but China doesn't own as many senators as Zuckerberg does.
Exactly.
Zuckerborg. Sorry,
Uh,
Zuckerborg.
Helton says Ed is talking about holy piss. He says somebody started a rumor that there was human meat in McD's burgers the other day. It was a lie. Right. McDonald's has never used
Yeah,
anything but hamburger
meat,
beef since
but
they
not meat.
stopped using worm and horse.
Yeah, I was
Or
gonna say you're assuming that they're using meat, like at all. So,
they do. They do.
mm,
There is a beef product there.
there's there might be some beef accidentally in it
No, it's a beef
on accident.
product. It's a beef product.
Sure.
I mean, it comes from cows. How it gets there, that's a whole other story. And what it is by the time it gets there,
Right.
no. But it doesn't stop you from eating it, right?
Actually don't eat McDonald's, surprisingly, even though it's
Really?
like within walking distance of me. I really don't.
Now, does it does it does it factor in at all, like when you think about places that you don't eat for whatever reasons, that they're all using the same product from pretty much the same places?
I don't know, probably.
Uh, uh, Health
Dude,
says we must be
kangaroo?
getting the
Hmm.
storm that passed through here this morning. I've been getting it all day. I've had it all day long.
Yeah, it's been
Uh,
on and off raining all day.
Beef kangaroo and soybean is what it says is in there. Kerber
Makes
being was the
sense.
one with the horse meat. Was McDonald's just warm burgers? I thought they had an issue with horse as well.
I have no idea.
There's Wyatt, just got off work. How you doing, Wyatt?
What's up, Wyatt?
Are you liking that new Wyatt logo? The breakdown,
Yeah, I like it.
the
It is
breakdown
cool.
with Birkenhoff. Yeah, that was a nice one. I like that.
I'll have
Much.
to ask him. I guess he can answer now, but I don't want to get into like a conversation about it since we're doing a show. But Wyatt, do you do your own logos or do you have someone else do it?
Oh, I know where
Just
he got that
curious.
one.
Oh
You
yeah,
should know where he got that one because it was in Discord
I don't know. I
in
don't. I
our
don't.
in our in our freedoms, private freedoms group chat.
Oh, okay.
Jake put that together for him.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Uh, Helton says there was a credible video years ago which showed cows that could not even stand up that were being used in the McD meat mix. Not sure if they stopped that practice. Um, as far as the media is concerned, everybody has stopped that practice. Nobody does bad things like that anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a camera there that they don't know about.
Yeah.
um, oh, speaking of burgers, I just wanted to share this. I thought this was interesting. I have a stepdaughter. She works for, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of the Habit Grill. It's a burger place out of California. They've spread it to a few places across the country. They had some stores here in Florida. They've closed a lot of them down, but they're still popping off down in South Florida, which is where she's at. But they were just bought by Yum Brands. Now, are you familiar with who Yum is?
Yeah. It sounds familiar.
All right. So Yum Brands was an offshoot from PepsiCo. After PepsiCo started acquiring things like Kentucky Fried Chicken, Long John Silver's, Pizza Hut, A&W Root Beer, they did an offshoot, which was Yum, which kind of focused on those restaurant brands and stuff that PepsiCo had taken on. Well, Yum Brands is who just bought the Habit. And they
Hmm.
came to my stepdaughter, just this past week and said, "Hey, we want you to go and open up 25 new stores for us. You'll be on a team. We're going to send
Jeez.
you to open up 25 new stores." Where do you think that's going to be?
South Florida?
No.
I don't know.
I bet if I gave you 15 guesses, you wouldn't get it. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
Cambodia.
Ooh, gross. No, no,
Cambodia.
no.
She
I wouldn't take that job.
she was out getting her passport, trying to get her passport taken care of. But apparently, there's a pretty long wait on passports right now. Could be upwards to 2 to 3 months before she can get one, before it's finalized. Um, but I was like, I told him, I said, have her talk to her company. They're a pretty big company. You never know what kind of expedition they could get going on with that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
she kind of wants to do it, and they're making it very how you say, financially beneficial to her. Like they're going to pay her a bonus, like an
Yeah,
immediate bonus. They're going to pay her salary, her rate, but they're also going to just throw extra cash on a daily basis on top of that,
like a per diem.
kind of like a per diem, basically, like, I don't know, it's $30 a day for every day that she's there. But she's going to open 25 stores. She's going to be there for a while. I'm figuring she's
Yeah.
probably going to be there for maybe a year or more.
Are they paying for her
They're paying
travel
for
and
everything,
hotel? And holy shit,
everything.
that does sound kind of awesome,
Yeah, she's
actually.
there to
Yeah.
go to Cambodia and open up a bunch of restaurants for them.
I honestly don't know that much about Cambodia other than like their history.
Yeah.
Not even that much of it, just the one part that everyone knows about.
Uh, Ed says, going back to the chat, Ed says, my brother claimed that he saw a trailer with McDonald's boxes marked as kangaroo meat. I've never
That
confirmed that.
sounds that
It's,
sounds like total bullshit.
yeah,
Because one, if you're being dishonest like that, you're not gonna label boxes with contains nefarious items. And secondly, wouldn't kangaroo meat first of all be tougher and harder to get a hold of? I don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know of a lot of kangaroo farms in the U.S. Maybe there are. I have no idea, but I don't know. That sounds like some BS. And I don't know your brother Ed, so I have no idea. In fact, I didn't know you had a brother until just now. Maybe I did. I don't know.
uh, oh, Midget's letting us know that a UBI is a funnel for tax dollars to corporations via consumerism. No shit.
Yeah,
That's really the whole point. Like what we were talking about earlier with this, the economists saying this. Look, when it's all said and done, they even said it. The payments should go to low and middle income households. Um, they Studies show that they tend to spend immediately when they get money in their hand. So yeah, I mean that's what you want a UBI, ongoing stimulus money,
yeah,
to do, is constantly be fed right back into the economy,
right. I mean, that is kind of the point of the
and
UBI
then it'll
is
generate
because
for
it
money for corporations and taxes.
right. The argument for UBI is that at least if I was to make the argument, it would be due to us being a consumer. And it's the same one that I have for the fair tax. Um, since we're a consumer economy now instead of an industrial one, uh, it makes more sense to either tax and or for the UBI, to give money straight to the people so that they can spend it, consuming. That's kind of the whole point of it. It seems, instead of doing like the federal income tax, which of course with the UBI you would still have a federal income tax. Um, but I imagine that would be the argument for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I still don't understand. I haven't figured out why it's so difficult to get us back to being a manufacturing country. I mean, it boggles me that
Well,
it's more expensive to make shit here than it is other places.
has to do with the amount of regulation we have.
Mm.
I mean, that's why you go to third world countries to make your shit because they have very lax regulations, if any at all. So it would make it a lot cheaper, even with transporting
But
whatever products.
but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Even companies that manufacture overseas
Hmm.
still a lot of times are manufacturing products to meet regulatory standards here in the country, yet the product
The
is still costing less money to make there.
Right, it's costing less money to make. When I say the regulation, I don't mean the regulation on the product itself. I mean like the regulations of like the facilities that they're being created, the factories or whatever. Especially like OSHA regulations. Those can be very expensive to meet the requirements for.
What you mean? You mean you want me to make the place safe to work in?
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's
It
un-American.
is actually. It really
People
is.
have a right to risk their lives on the
They
job.
do. That's right. They do.
Well, so you don't believe a manufacturing company has a responsibility to
Of
create a
course they
safe
do.
working environment
Of course they do.
without
It behooves them to.
right?
It's in their best interest to make it safe.
Sure,
Yeah.
but they don't have to if there's not regulations,
No,
right?
of
They
course
can be
not. Right.
lax and slide on that as much
Yeah.
as they want with no regulations.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to have a standard. So you got to have regulations, John. You got to regulate it.
Nice to see that
That's
you're still in your status worldview.
well, I mean,
A little
again,
bit of a little bit of constant
it's
in this ever changing world is nice to
it's a
see.
numbers game, John. It's a numbers game. If
Yeah.
0.01% of the population dying is enough to scream pandemic and shut the country down,
Right.
I think, one accident in 382 days constitutes regulation.
Of course, naturally.
Uh, Mitch is asking us, are we familiar with the mouthy Buddha video? No idea. No, I don't watch
I
those
don't think
trendy new
so.
videos and stuff. I don't
It's probably not new, knowing midget. I don't
know.
know why that sounds familiar, and I've said that a lot this show. I don't know if you noticed. I've been saying that, oh, that rings a bell, or I think I've heard of that. I've said that a lot this show, but it's been true every time. So I don't know. Um,
you
yeah,
know, you know, people, people that don't like a UBI, a lot of people will say UBI kicks in, people just be lazy and they won't work, and I'm like, okay, but
well,
that's
that's not true at all,
okay,
though. I don't think
right?
that's true.
But if that's the case, then that means you, as a person who's against a UBI, will have more opportunity to work more and make more money
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
less
You would.
people will be out there doing the job. So the demand for your work is going to go up. So you can like start working like 60 hours a week and just make hand over fist money and overtime and all of that. I would think a UBI would be beneficial to those people who don't agree with it for that reason. Just saying, right?
I mean, inflation would still be an issue, but
What?
I think that's probably a better argument than others that I've heard for it. Again, not that I agree with it, but that's a better argument at least. At least it is an argument. I'll give you that. That is at least an argument.
It's just like you might need some context to see the connections between Wayfair and Yandex. I don't even know what Yandex is. Uh,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Yandex is.
Now, I mean, I'm not going to say that Midget has a tendency to buy into these conspiracy theories wholeheartedly. I'm just saying,
But just because something is a conspiracy theory doesn't mean it's not true.
sure, but
So
you know,